Hi, I'm Chelsea,
Hi, I'm Alexis.
and we're gonna talk about Zim.
Alright, here we go with the Wettening. This is one of my favorites. I love this episode. This is just good old classic confrontation, Zim versus Dib. He just opens up with the paste all over the classroom. Melvin has lost the use of his mouth. It's just good, you know. You have no idea how it got from eating paste to paste everywhere. It feels like we're coming in on the end of a normal episode of Invader Zim.
True. I mean, all the children stuck to the walls, Zim laughing maniacally. Does seem like the end of an episode.
Yeah. Somehow Dib hasn't gotten in trouble yet, so...
No, in this case, it's like Dib pays Melvin $10 to eat a bunch of paste.
I don't know what his reasons for it would be, but I can visually see that occurring.
Oh my god, no, it's because old kid has a gambling problem. Bet you can't eat $10 worth of paste.
Oh, so the old kid's now the one.
When Miss Bitters asks Melvin, was it worth losing the use of your mouth? Melvin's like, because he's gonna get $10 for this.
So Dib, ever on guard, he notices within seconds that the oncoming rain will perturb Zim. I mean, how does that boy get any homework done? Does he have any good grades? Like, is he completely failing the class? I can't imagine he does anything but stare at Zim the entire time.
The way I picture it is that Dib is super duper smart, so he doesn't have to pay attention in class at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly just a switch of obsessions, you know. I'm sure during, prior to Zim times, Dib basically just did a obsessive study on Sasquatches and,
Yeah, that's true.
whatnot, and he'd sit around doing that and not paying attention to class. And now he just, stares at Zim, and at this point, when he realizes that Zim is concerned about this noise outside, he looks over and he puts his hands on his he puts his elbows on the desk and just looks at him like a lady who has just found out some gossip in some sort of a old-timey town. Just, hi, I'm Dib, and I just figured out you don't like rain.
Old-timey town. Those ladies sure were malicious and conniving in old-timey town.
No. Much like the Music Man. You know, they're at the barber shop having a little bit of a gossip about Zim's dislike of rain.
Let's just watch the next bit. I love how Zim, he goes to test, you know, very, very carefully to see if the rain's going to hurt him, and it burns him through his glove. I think that's one of the freakouts that Zim seriously earns. That's no good.
Dib lurks behind him like a f***ing creep, as usual.
And I think it bears quick repeating that it is not the water itself that is hurting Zim. It's the germs in the water, if Jonan is to be believed, which, you know, is difficult sometimes.
Depends on when he's talking, if you should believe him. But also, I'd say to go along with our post-apocalyptic analysis of this town and this world in general, maybe from the radiation burns also stems the fact that the rain is a lot more acidic.
Yeah, we could be looking at some real nasty acid rain going on, and everybody's just evolved or grown to be able to deal with it.
Or maybe it's just to a point where most normal people aren't as affected by it, but, you know, there are places where statues get worn down from it more than, like, actual humans. Like, if you stand under the rain, it doesn't, like, burn you. It's just, it gradually wears away buildings and things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, humans can repair themselves. Stone can't.
Stone needs to learn how to up its game a little bit. Okay, so during the We Love Rain song, some children fly by with accompanying airplane noises. So I think what we are to take away from this is that the children love rain, because it allows them the gift of flight.
I think maybe you're reaching a little too much. I think we're just trying to create the surreal atmosphere that Zim sees from children playing in the rain.
So my new headcanon for Invader Zim is that rain allows children to fly. Of course, Dib is immune to this because he cannot fly in the rain, or else he'd be using that fucking constantly.
His head's too heavy to get.
Oh yeah, he can't take off. His giant weighty head has since he was a child just kept him from the fancy flights that most children experience during the acid radiation rain that the other children they adore. And Dib has never until this day felt so much love for the rain. Most of the time, it has been a source of stress for him because it's another thing that he just can't fit in with.
We're only in episode 9 and we've already gone off the motherfucking deep end.
Just wait.
No, this rabbit hole can't go any deeper.
But today he sees that his hated rival, has an even worse situation with the rain, and it has brought rain a whole new meaning to him. He's being reborn under the watery.
This is why we do these episodes so infrequently, because of this bullshit.
Zim wants to prove to Dib that he's a tough guy, so he knows it's gonna burn him. He just held his glove out and saw it sizzle. He just steps out and the whole kit and caboodle goes for it. We do see Keith in this episode, by the way, so...
Keith's got his eyes back.
Yeah. So I think we should just assume that he broke them at the end of that one episode, because we did see smoke coming up.
Fair enough. For the purposes of this podcast, that's our headcanon.
Okay. Anyway, so he first of all wants to prove to Dib, I can do this, I'm fine. And immediately really regrets that and starts running around basically as if he's on fire. Dib is delighted by this. He starts writing notes. And Gaz, for the first time in ever, really, is like, can I see? She's excited for a second. I know you could say it was maybe sarcastic, but she doesn't really say not or anything like that. What she does is, never mind, I don't want to. Like,
I think that the way that it's written, it is intended for her to be using sarcasm there, but I'll admit that the timing feels a little weird for that, so I assume that she's being sarcastic there, but I wouldn't really argue with somebody if they said otherwise.
What was the exact line? He said world-saving stuff, right?
Fate of the world kind of work.
Fate of the world kind of work. Maybe she thinks of it like a video game for a second. She thinks it's interesting. She's like, oh, hey, something cool. And then she realizes, oh, wait, it's Dib writing notes. It's not actually Fate of the world. It's lame.
That'd be really cute.
Yeah, I think maybe the little sister coming out a little right there. Just to be like, oh, Fate of the world, awesome. Oh, wait, no, it's not awesome. It's Dib.
That's way too cute for Gaz. Can't get my hopes up like that.
we need to explore Gaz a little bit more, because I never thought about her too much. So it's important, I think, to make notes of her.
Oh yeah, we'll get some more Gaz this episode.
Oh, we will. And also this is indicating that they walk home together, which would make sense as they're siblings. But I think that's kind of cute.
Yeah,
Gaz, despite her utter lack of care for anyone, likes to hang out with Dib. You know, at least walk home with him.
Yeah, it's the sibling thing, you know. We can see how horrible she is to Dib and whatnot, but I think that that's just this world's version of the way siblings argue and sometimes do mean shit to each other.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I just think it's cute to note.
Mm-hmm.
Zim manhandles Gaz and uses her as an umbrella.
I love him choosing her instead of the umbrella because he has so little idea of how to protect himself from the rain.
Listen, pain makes you a little crazy.
True. Gaz is about to get some form of revenge on Zim. It looks like she's probably going to hit him with the umbrella.
Yeah.
But Dib, of course, has just made his notes and probably checking to make sure that groundwater will do the same thing.
Yeah, if he has to only use rainwater, or it has to be literally falling from the sky at the time. So he splashes Gaz. Gaz has some serious eye twitching going on.
You do realize I'm going to have to destroy you for this. But Dib has at least taken care of her need for vengeance against Zim. You see somebody writhing on the ground screaming like that.
Yeah, well, I think that also, even if Zim wasn't writhing on the ground screaming from that, it would have transferred her rage directly to Dib right away, because Dib interrupted her in the middle of something.
That's true. He interrupted her vengeance. That's even worse.
Yeah, I mean...
Double vengeance time for Dib.
Yeah, he gets double the vengeance from this.
Alright, so, as what might be expected, some character development for Dib in this episode, or rather kind of placing where he is in things. Gaz does a normal threat to destroy him, and Dib just kind of goes, it was worth it. I mean, Dib has been subject to Gaz's horrible, horrible stuff since he was young, I'm assuming. And either he's disregarding the intensity of that threat, or he just knows, and he's like, okay, whatever. He also says, score 1 for the human race, score nothing for the Zim thingy race. So this is still a point at which Dib doesn't know much about Zim. In fact, he says score 1. This is, I don't know, is this kind of a first victory that he's feeling against Zim? I mean, he tried to attack him in the first episode, and then in Dark Harvest.
Well, maybe he didn't count any of those as a win. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no way you can count Dark Harvest as a win.
That's
for Dib.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a win that Dib's had so far, and I don't know if he's had one yet.
I don't think so.
Sorry. Dib's such a sadistic little...
He is actually a really sadistic...
First things first, really short scene. It's paced your chance for redemption day in Bitters' class, and
That's another class we gotta teach at our college.
oh man, if you don't think that phrase is just gorgeous, get out. Anyway, so while they're working on their little crafts, Dib hops over and just sets the sink in the back of the classroom that I don't think exists later. It's only in this episode. He just sets it.
No. Dib installed it for this. I'm imagining Dib sneaking into class that night and literally getting the pipes put in. He's like, I need 10 1/4-inch PVC, and he builds this. He builds this sink.
Oh man, that'd be good. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I like that. But he just sets it to drip, and then we get this great it's not even psychological warfare, it's just demolishing Zim's psyche. Zim is listening to those drips, and every drip is making him think of the horrible burning pain that water causes. And Jim's just like,
Yeah, I think the cuts in that part are very, very good, very clever. They use just enough time on each of them to make it really funny. They even do a great little effect of Zim's eye kind of turning into the bell, which is really...
It's a good transition.
Really a nice little transition for time passing of... Clearly, Dib has been doing this for at least 10, 15 minutes of just nodding, laughing, smiling as Zim sweats and freaks out.
This one hasn't had the kind of really, really just beautifully tonal shots that, even Parent Teacher Night had a couple more like that, and like Walk of Doom. Ones that are more obscure. This one has a little bit more standard in terms of shooting and colorization and stuff like that, but
Yeah, we don't have the gorgeous color palettes, the bright eye bleeding colors going on. This one's a little bit more mundane. And I mean, one could argue, well, we're in the school, they're walking outside. So far, we really don't have too much, but...
Well, I mean, Dark Harvest was in the school.
Yeah. I mean, Dark Harvest had Dark Harvest had a little bit more opportunity for weird lighting, though. They found that.
Yeah.
Zim also notices the paste, and that's a nice, subtle way to take care of that,
Yeah, he looks at the paste. He does a little analysis of the paste too, which I think is a good thing to make a note of. He does it in the middle of the classroom too, so you can maybe guess that he picks up objects that he doesn't understand or know kind of frequently. And
well, we see in other episodes that he does studies in the middle of the classroom all the time, and none of the kids ever notice.
Well, I just think it's great that they show him taking some observations.
Yeah, and I mean, he goes to school every day with the intent of learning, so the school is his place to get information for infiltration.
It's true. Though, I think he might have assumed he would be getting it from the teachers, and then he realized Miss Bitters isn't really that interested in teaching him a lot of useful knowledge. So he's learning about humans.
Yeah, that's the most important thing that anybody does learn in school. Like, forget about your subjects, learning how to interact with other humans. That's what will actually make you succeed in life.
Nice to show Zim on his way home, starting to realize the magnitude of the problem of how common water is on Earth. I mean, this is clearly the first time that it has rained or he's had to deal with any kind of precipitation. So it's also the first time everything's been, super wet. He's probably hasn't had to deal with dew or whatever yet because it looks like it's in the middle of summer. And I think we're also to assume that everything's a little hotter just in this world. Okay, so him dealing with all that.
Oh, hold on. My favorite part of this was the way they were able to play up a fire hydrant as scary.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite part. Was first things first. He's just noticing like, oh my god, puddles, and so he's trying to hide from Dib, and then he finds that the thing he's hidden behind is filled with water, dripping water, and that's great. You're playing it well.
And that one detail does bring to mind the fact that, like, the garbage dumpster he was hiding behind, if it rained recently, it would be wet, All of the surfaces might have, drips of water or a little bit of moisture on them. Right now, literally anything he touches could burn him. That's pretty creepy.
Yeah, I think this is Zim feeling like, oh no, do I have to leave? Do I have to run away from this planet? Like, he's trying to figure something out first, obviously, but the thought has to have started to cross his mind that if it's this prevalent, that he's gonna have a problem.
Well, he just got done with germs a few episodes ago. He's probably feeling like he's got a handle on this enemy that's everywhere, and now there's one that's even worse. The germs are this kind of looming horror of he doesn't know, but water immediately causes damage. If a human were to toss him in a tank of water, that's it. Zim, done.
Well, here's the thing about germs. I think that one's psychosomatic. It's not actually hurting him. Before he knew they were there. He didn't get hurt by them. I'm sure Gur was covered in filth since the day they got there. But as an Urkin, clearly they're germaphobes, and
yeah.
I have to say, I think that there's a couple of great just visual jokes in the scene where Dib hits Zim with the water balloon for the first time. There's the fact that the water balloon bounces off Zim harmlessly for a second, kind of bounces around, the way a water balloon really does in real life. It doesn't break right away, and then explodes on him and he's screaming. There's also the fact that he says to Dib, "Watch your back," and Dib literally moves his eyes to look behind him.
So paranoid.
It's a great character moment. It's very small, but it works so well for Dib especially, but any character really taking it super literally. It's funny. And then the balloon end sticking to Zim's hand. Just a funny, great visual gag of him tugging at it and not really being able to get at it. And I mean, it leads into him realizing, oh, the paste is the thing. But I think it's just great visual jokes that they have that are well-timed, well done.
I also like that Zim refers to it as your water balloon technology, which, yeah, viscerally is seriously funny. Like, that's so painful. And for him to go, now I've got it, that for him, it's no joke, it's no laughing matter. He has something that's capable of severe damage, he's got the tear gas of...
You know what? Zim worked in R&D.
Yes, he did.
And he probably had to look into what hurt Urkins. So, not that he's thinking about attacking his own race again, but it's probably in his mind in a weird way that this is a technology I now have. It's like a grenade, But it's a pain grenade. It's not blow you up grenade. It's an incapacitating pain.
Probably not that he'd ever think of hurting Urkins with it, but if it's something that's capable of hurting Urkins, then it must be powerful.
Okay, so the paste ends up being a plot point, and I really love that.
Yeah, it actually goes to show the hallmarks of the show's very, very clean, good writing. Mm-hmm. That you start off the episode with what looks obviously to be a gag. Oh, look, there's Melvin again, gluing people to the wall. But they bring it back in. They have the paste actually do plenty for the episode in terms of what it has to fill as a role.
Mm-hmm. Zim is wearing his germ goggles again, so that's nice to see. He is analyzing components and is probably figuring out what, Jonan thinks from the show Bible, that it's the germs in the water that's causing it. He's got to keep that from being able to permeate. He's using the paste to make himself waterproof.
I think my favorite part about this montage here of Dib and Zim getting ready for Monday is that Zim's is incredibly low concept, but very high tech. And Dib's is incredibly high concept, but lower tech. Like, Zim is like doing a computer test to see if dumping paste on something makes it more waterproof. Like, that's basically it. And then he is creating a water balloon in a tank, as if it is some sort of an amazing feat.
And, he used to be in the weapons field, so for him, this is what he does, Zim is kind of at home developing water balloon technology. I mean, we're seeing that...
I like that he was doing R&D on himself.
Yes. I mean, this is going to be the best water balloon technology, the finest study you will ever see. This is what Zim's actually good at. And it's early enough on in the show that he can do at least a silly thing like this competently. Also, Dib doesn't use his dad's gear or lab for this. He doesn't use the basement. He uses the garage.
Which is Dib's domain.
Oh, yeah. Or I guess we see him working on the on tax ship in there later on. So
his dad must not have a car.
His dad probably has like a Stargate hidden down there.
I know, right? He probably just has his lab with like a teleporter to wherever he wants to go.
Man, Dib keeps out of his dad's lab, and you'd expect a kid like that to be, going around and ganking stuff, but he's very respectful of his dad's boundaries.
Or maybe he just really likes to be fiercely independent. He likes to do everything himself.
Yeah, that could definitely be it too.
So, Zim is developing his own water balloon with a little Urkin symbol on it, and he will use it later, obviously. But I've just thought of him making this water balloon style thing, but actually knowing about humans and stuff, which he should know from seeing people jumping in the water before, saying, I love rain, 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 whatever. That water isn't really that big of a deal for a human unless they're completely submerged in it. But just the idea of him being like, this is a balloon full of cyanide, and he just throws it at Dib, and Dib's just dead laying there.
I also love how both of them are very hard at work developing their weapons, and Dib is gonna get a really harsh lesson in this episode. That, this great montage, and at the end of it, Dib has this sweet backpack that auto-fires water balloons. Like, that, he kind of almost rightfully so, I don't know. It's not too far of a stretch for him to think, yes, Zim's gonna come to school today and this is gonna just destroy him. Like, and Dib probably, I don't know if he has murder on his mind, but he really wants to hurt Zim and he wants to prove his superiority. But he's so incredibly outclassed. I mean, this is the first time that we see Zim having his space station, which we'll get a little bit more of later. But space station, he drains all of the water from Earth, or at least all of the water from Lake Michigan, and creates this giant balloon and targets it at Dib's big head.
You know what's great about that? We have seen Zim triumphing over Dib very obviously and easily. In Nano Zim, Zim is able to outclass Dib pretty handily. It is only Gaz that saves Dib from pretty much dying there.
Which is true, but I mean, that's a piloting issue. And, like, Dib is brand new to this particular technology. But I think that out of Nano Zim, Dib learns that he's on even ground from Zim. That technologically, both of them have these battle robots, you know? And Dib's pretty arrogant, too. I assume that he comes out of that going, if I had had more time to practice, I could have beaten him. Which is a very child, you know, thing to go, well, I just wasn't ready. I'll be better next time. Of course I'm good at video games.
But he didn't create the nanotechnology Membrane did. So, here's what I'm thinking, is that clearly Zim's technology is far beyond Dib's capabilities, unless he's using membrane stuff.
Well, Dib doesn't know if Zim is building his own technology yet, either. I mean, it as far as Dib knows, it could be the same thing, that Zim has a technician that's giving him his technology, and Dib can get a bunch from his dad. I mean, both of them don't... I mean, sometimes they're very big on themselves and their own egos, because they're both very egotistical. I mean, they're both starved for attention and any positive reinforcement, so that makes sense that they have to get their positive reinforcement from themselves. But on top of that, they both like to act as representatives for their races. Dib doesn't particularly like individual people, but he is a representative of humanity and how mankind will not fall to the Urkin menace. Whereas Zim, he's totally been fed this from birth, that he is part of the Urkin armada, the Urkin military.
Well, for me, I think what's great about this is just kind of highlighting how Zim has access to so much more in terms of personal knowledge, i.e. being a better pilot, etc. He's over 100, as far as we know, so he's far more mature. He has mature in terms of age. Okay. Not mature in terms of maturity, but he's more seasoned. That's the word I should use. He's far more seasoned. Of course, he was also raised in a battle race, though I will say Dib probably has had his fair share of having to defend himself, probably physically and mentally, against other people a lot.
And his dad's creations and stuff.
That notwithstanding, he also outclasses Dib in terms of resources. Even if Dib is related to one of the greatest scientists on Earth, Zim's race is just far beyond his.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying, is that Dib right now thinks of himself, like, both of them as having the same technology. That's what he learned in Nano Zim. He learned that, and it was a bad lesson, because Dib was wrong.
Yes.
He is not on the same level as Zim. And that's when he learns at the end of the Wettening. He learns the more valuable and more painfully learned lesson that no, that one time we were on a comparable level, but when it is just me and it is just Zim, using the resources that are immediately available to both of us, Zim has stuff that Dib can't compete with.
Mm-hmm.
The real main thing that I want to talk about here is that Zim has set up this decoy Zim that is flinching in fear, and progressively Dib tries to get him to like face me, like take me on, but he quickly goes from being like, come on, just get up. You're making fun of me. You're asking for it now. And all the kids are watching. So here you go, a classic example of Dib is a bully. Again, Dib is a bully.
Yeah, you can definitely see it here. And, it feeds into Dib also getting bullied. I mean, I don't want to say that, Dib is wholly in the right or in the wrong in this. I mean, he's an antagonist in plenty of episodes. And he's being mean here, Dib's not talking about, oh, I'm gonna save the world, I'm gonna save Earth. He's like, no, it's obvious who the superior mind is here. I bet you're so scared. Dib's not acting like a hero here. He is being a bully to Zim.
As far as he knows, Zim still has no defense. He has literally just tortured him repeatedly throughout the past, 2 encounters with the water. And though Zim talks a big game, this is just a one battle you won, I will settle this on Monday. But Monday rolls around, he has no reason to assume that Zim has actually solved the problem. And Zim is standing there cowering, and Dib's like, well, I'm still gonna shoot a bunch of water at you.
Yeah, and even if you don't care about honor, it would be, way better of Dib right now to go, maybe demonstrate his weapon and go, all right, Zim, you turn yourself into the authorities now. If Dib were being a hero, he would use this, intimidate his foe, and be done with it. Or he'd just kill him. I mean, Dib has every reason to want to aggress Zim.
Zim wants to destroy his planet. He's got reason to do this. But as far as the other kids watching, man, Dib must look like a bully.
Yeah, and I think that people could be choosing sides either way on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good one to list as one of the first ones where you don't really have a clear good guy and bad guy.
Yeah.
They've switched off in prior episodes, ones where Dib is obviously the good guy that we want to win, and ones where Zim is really more in a sympathetic role and you don't want him to lose, etc. In this one, it is definitely not a clear dichotomy between this one's in the right, this one's in the wrong. It is, both of them are kind of jerks. Both of them are in this episode, and you, as the viewer, can decide whose side you're on. Though, really, both of them aren't exactly heroes here.
Dib.
Yeah, I know. We know you like Dib. It's fine.
And I mean, you can see that immediately when he thinks he's being made fun of, and especially in front of the other kids, he's used to being made fun of, so he goes straight to thinking that's what's happening, and he probably visions of being bullied by the rest of the classmates if he fails are dancing in front of his eyes. He's like, oh no. So, we can definitely pity Dib in that he's trying to finally get his and get some respect. But again, that's what bullies do. That's why they bully kids in front of other kids, so they can feel better about themselves, either from the lack of respect they've gotten from classmates or the lack of respect they've gotten at home or what have you. But, you don't pick on other people if you don't feel bad about yourself. So again, we can feel bad for Dib, but we should also point out that he's being a bit of a dick here. Again, he's my favorite character. I love the guy, but he's not being cool.
The build up for this is so good. It's got, first we see water getting siphoned off, etc., and that's just setting us up to know that it's going somewhere. You know the water's going somewhere, and then space.
Yeah,
it's in
space.
It's in space, and because we're in space, as it is, we can assume that the balloon is pretty large, but we do not see the relative size to Earth until it starts rocketing towards the city, and you get to actually see the scale of this balloon versus the school and Dib standing underneath it.
Yeah, the balloon is probably about the size of a city. When it rockets to Earth, you can still see the oceans intact, so it's not all of the water in the oceans or whatever. It's a lot of water.
I love the scale they give this. I love it. There are ways to make something look big but not give it the proper weight and scale. This one does a perfect job.
Oh my god.
You can see it crushing satellites in space.
You see it burning up as it careens through the atmosphere, so you know just how fast that sucker's going.
We also talked about how we love Zim's little gloves that he invented just to tie the knot on the water balloon. I can't give you a better example of how wasteful and wonderful the Urkins are as this, because this is the sort of, I think this is like pure Urkin right here. All about revenge. It's needless in a lot of ways. It's petty and it's over the top. And that's the sort of thing that they seem to love. It's just like the but it's cool.
Yeah, the Urkins and the Martians, they're a kindred species.
And yeah, actually, when we get to that episode, I'd love to talk about how it could be a mirror of like where the Urkins would end up, sort of deal. But okay, so yeah, the greatness of this just shows the planet Conventia, the snack planet, and they will have gloves that are solely made to control giant robot hands to tie a water balloon. They could be doing literally anything else, but he invented them just for this.
Yep.
They obviously worked hard to show destruction as if a bomb had gone off.
Yeah.
Except with water.
Yeah, and we get a bunch of cameos. We get the longest Jonan cameo in the show. He's sitting there reading a comic in a pretty sweet little living room, and then he drinks a piranha. We see Steve Russell going to get a hot dog. We even see a cameo for the animators themselves. So, quite nice. Oh yeah, and when the balloon is rocketing to Earth, like Dib is just staring at it. The other children run, but Justin's headcanon character over analysis continues. Dib is just staring at it going, no. Like, that's the moment where he's learning that lesson. Where he's realizing that he thought, he had Zim, that he had home team territory turf advantage, and that he finally found this weakness that he was just going to use to crush Zim, and that his species was pathetic, and this was going to be a cakewalk. And then, oh my god, both of them had a weekend. Dib made a water balloon backpack. Zim made a space station that does this. Dib's brain does not even have time to come to terms with the magnitude of loss that he has incurred before it hits him. He's lost that one, and he has some major recalculations to do.
I also really like the idea of the kids running away and probably going into the school because they probably have some sort of fallout shelter in that place.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, we gotta go in. And really, it was ill-prepared to handle the wettening.
Oh yeah, and Dib kind of lying there being melodramatic suits him so perfectly that he's gonna try to take his loss with as much of his own bizarre dignity as he can.
He might as well be holding the Hamlet skull. The wettening. Oh, there was water. As if he's gonna have to pay all the property damage that this caused. Big baby.
Yeah, I mean, you know, let's be honest. Like, this is a severe defeat to Dib's psyche, but this isn't the worst one that he incurs. Like, his house is almost certainly gonna be okay. There's like membranes, electric fence, probably put up a force field or something. He's gonna be fine, but it's just his ego has been bruised.
Yeah, I mean, there will be much worse things that will happen to him later.
Oh yeah.
They destroy the whole city.
It's gone.
And the fact that it's back in the next episode, I'm not even going to take as, oh, they just retcon. I'm just saying that I'm guessing the city gets destroyed all the time.
Yeah.
They probably have some sort of technology to put things back together quickly. I mean, Zim certainly can rebuild his house pretty fast. He just plants it down again.
Well, if we want to go through your, nuclear fallout theory,
Mm-hmm.
they might be used to rebuilding after, bombs and stuff, too.
Yeah.
All right. Gaz gets her ultimate revenge, as she always does, by drama Dib, the wettening, and then she just smashes him in the face with another water balloon that she's obviously been saving just for this.
Oh man, she had to have been sitting inside the school seeing Dib just get like trashed with all of that, and she had her like one water balloon, and she's like, yes, because this is insult to injury.
She even grins just as if she's like, she knows how much this is going to ruin his day even further. that at least he had his melodramatic, why? Oh, I was defeated. And then Gaz just throws a water balloon in his face, and he can't even look at least like a slain enemy anymore. He can just sit there dripping and annoyed like a wet cat.
Well, it reminds him that yeah, Dib, that was a water balloon. It was a water balloon. You gave him the water balloon.
He took your water balloon.
You took your water balloon technology, Dib. This is what you really are right now. You're just a glorified kid who lost in a water balloon fight. Of course, it's more than that, but she gets to frame it as such.
And we also end the episode. We actually end the episode on a moment of Zim receiving pain too.
Zim clearly won here.
Yes.
He goes back home. His home has been destroyed. That's the first part where I think any watcher would go, is that really winning? He just destroyed his home. And then he ultimately, the end of the episode is that he is choking to death in his toilet.
I've heard a fan theory that that's not his home because he has a men's room sign on his door and there is a toilet in the back, that he has wandered into a random bathroom.
Oh, that's actually a great way of thinking of it. I think that's really funny. And but what I'd say is great about it is that Zim could be gloating at this point in time. I mean, this is the end of the episode. You could end it without even showing Zim, and just having shown Dib getting Gaz's water balloon dropped in his face, you could end right there.
Yeah.
That's a fine ending point. And Zim would have clearly been the winner. But they decided to take the time out to make it so that you see that Zim hurt himself. And Zim is also getting he's dying in a toilet while Gur watches. Like, there's no higher humiliation, really.
It shows, oh my god, like, it's pretty impressive what he just did. But it's kind of a reminder that Zim has a capacity for destruction, and that's all. That he's good at destroying everything, and that there's no limit to that. That includes himself. That includes his home base.
Includes his home planet, for f***'s sake.
Yes. That you shouldn't be too impressed by what Zim did, because that's literally the only thing he's good at.
The only thing Zim is good at is dropping massive destruction upon wherever he is.
So, anyway, we get to end on a good, silly joke after, something so intensely cool. And, again, everything in Invader Zim that is cool is also silly. You're never going to get around that. But go watch The Wettening again. This episode is so good. They spend so much time doing tension, much like in Dark Harvest, that it doubles back around and the absurdity just blossoms. And they get to have their cake and eat it too, that it is serious and cool, but also really dumb, and you love it. It's so good that they managed to juggle those two things that shouldn't work together.
Yeah, well done episode on the whole. It establishes a ton. It allows for a lot of great character, and it focuses on a lot of small build things rather than making it talky or making it... They do a lot of visual explaining in this episode, which is something that a lot of cartoons don't let themselves do, not only because they have the limitation of animation. A lot of scripts force characters to explain something instead of showing them do it because it's expensive to animate so-and-so playing the guitar or whatever. And all of their building scenes, things like that, they spend a lot of their runtime on things that are quiet and subtle enough to just show what's going on visually.
This one's so high concept, and it's got a great concept that's high drama, and anything that's high drama in Invader Zim also becomes high in comedy. And it's that kind of pairing that works so well just for the show in general. Like, Dib having to face Mortal Kombat in order to get his dad to sign a permission slip, Gaz being cursed with the horrible life curse of only tasting pork, Zim life indentured servitude as a fry cook. Like, there are these things that are so just funny on the surface that you gotta laugh at anybody who take them seriously. And then you just kind of start to unpackage them and realize, oh my god, it would suck if all you could taste was pork. And just that wonderful, wonderful cycle of absurdity and seriousness. And
that's where the show shines in terms of mixing comedy with seriousness in a great way.
This is a great episode to just show off Invader Zim as a show.
That's it for this week. If you want to find more stuff that we do, you can Google Alexis Royce or Google Chibi Silverwings.
Yeah, Google us. Moogle us.
Don't.
Boogle us.
Please don't.
Schnoogle us.
Allie, you're not funny. None of this is usable footage.
Bamboozle us.